In the frozen north, the grizzly bear, the apex predator at the top of the food chain, surges in like a whirlwind. Each heavy step stamps its authority into the ground, cutting the angle to lock onto its target. In one sudden burst, it throws up dust and shuts down every escape route. Without showmanship, sheer weight and relentless resolve force the target into a bad position within seconds. So what allows the grizzly bear to seize control so quickly? The elk is the athlete of the mountains, a large-bodied animal with the antlers of males spreading up to about 4 feet. Every breath in the cold air is a signal of alertness, and bursts of speed that can reach 45 miles per hour force most predators to recalculate their distance. For the grizzly bear, the elk is not only a source of energy, but also an opponent that forces it to adjust its tactics. When the bear presses the elk towards the water's edge, the chase shifts into a test of strength in the cold river, where the bear's weight begins to work in its favor. In the water, the long legs that are an advantage on land become a hindrance, causing the elk to slow down noticeably. With each passing moment, the grizzly bear gradually takes control and gains an energy reward estimated at about 100,000 calories, enough to help it maintain strength through many days of searching ahead. On another mountain slope, the grizzly bear closes in from behind with a bite measured at around 1,200 pounds per square inch. The elk fights back, surging forward in an effort to open a path away from this formidable predator. But after a few tense moments of struggle, the grizzly bear secures the upper hand. That is a reminder of the cycle of survival. That precious energy is stored by the grizzly bear as fat reserves for the lean days ahead. What remains quietly nourishes birds, insects, and the surrounding forest floor. A small piece of evidence of the wild's unending rhythm. In the forests of Alaska, the moose is an opponent that forces the grizzly bear to think more carefully than in most other hunts. An adult can stand over 6 feet at the shoulder and weigh more than 1,400 pounds, with antlers spread wide like a moving shield, strong enough to push back any animal that comes too close. For that reason, the bear rarely chooses to rush straight in. It keeps its distance and watches for weaknesses in its target. With a young moose, the bear gradually pushes it towards the water's edge or into marshy ground, where escape routes narrow and its strides slow, making it easier to bring the chase to a close before the bear exhausts itself. Against a full-grown moose, the rhythm of the hunt changes again. The bear tries to draw its opponent into deeper stretches of river or onto soft, muddy ground, using the terrain as an ally. Each step the moose takes grows heavier, while the grizzly steadily increases pressure and relies on solid muscle to stay balanced. But the moose does not simply give in. It stands its ground, lowers its center of gravity, and swings its front legs in a powerful warning, forcing the bear to pause for a moment and reassess the risk. For that reason, these confrontations are never one-sided. With just a brief lapse in judgment, the balance can shift in an instant. Mating season turns the northern forest into a quiet battleground. Adult male grizzlies constantly leave signals through scent, claw marks on tree trunks, and familiar patrol routes. For them, it is a way to declare control without having to meet face to face. When two figures weighing more than 600 pounds move toward each other, tension usually rises gradually instead of flaring up at once. They watch and test one another from a distance, walking in parallel, breathing hard, eyes gauging every move. It feels like a negotiation over boundaries and the right to stay close to a potential mate. If the risk seems greater than the reward, one will deliberately turn away, because saving energy is sometimes the wiser way to survive. But if neither side yields, the confrontation shifts into a test of limits. Body weight, shoulders, and chest become the main tools to press and push the rival out of a favorable position. Claws and teeth serve mostly as points of contact to keep balance and apply steady pressure. With just a brief break in timing, the weaker side turns away, and the tension drops immediately. The one that stays keeps control. The one that retreats keeps a chance for the next season. Behind each of these contests stands the female grizzly. Most of the time, a female leans toward a male that is strong, enduring, and able to hold a stable home range. But once cubs are in the picture, priorities shift at once. The mother bear puts safety first and is ready to lead her young away if an unfamiliar bear comes too close. For that reason, territory is more than just a place to live. It is where every choice to advance or withdraw leaves lasting consequences, from opportunities to reproduce to the level of safety for the cubs, and ultimately the future of the entire population. Mountain goats are master climbers, able to conquer rock faces with slopes up to about 60 degrees thanks to split hooves that grip firmly and extremely strong legs. The grizzly bear, driven by hunger, leaves the valley and climbs mountain slopes up to 10,000 feet high in search of this valuable source of protein. When it senses pressure from behind, the mountain goat does not flee in a straight line. It changes direction constantly over loose rock, jumps across narrow ledges, and chooses paths where the pursuer struggles to find stable footing. Even so, the bear still focuses on a mother and young pair that has become separated from the herd and is stuck near a rock edge less than 2 feet wide, a position with both high opportunity and high risk. The mother mountain goat stamps her feet in warning, as if to remind that the cliff always favors those who know the way. After several attempts to close in, the bear finally decides to move on, conserving energy and saving its strength for future hunts. When Alaska's rivers begin to fill with salmon, the entire landscape seems to change its rhythm. This is also when the grizzly bear enters a stage called hyperphagia, an intensified feeding period before hibernation, spending almost the whole day taking in energy and building fat reserves. At the start of the season, waterfalls become hot spots, where hundreds of brown bears gather to feed. Salmon have to leap upward to fight the current, while the bears only need to stand in the right spot and wait for the right moment. At this time, the grizzly shows quick, precise catches, repeated over and over like a habit shaped by countless seasons in the wild. Toward the end of the season, the current softens. Many salmon have grown weak after their long journey and cluster in slower sections of the river. The grizzly bear leaves the falls and moves down to calmer stretches, making the most of the remaining energy of the season in a way that saves effort, yet stays effective. Thanks to this strategy, a bear may consume dozens of salmon in a single day, turning that stored fat into a reserve layer that helps the body endure the cold months. When the salmon feast finally comes to a close, the grizzly leaves the riverbank, searches for a high, dry, and sheltered place, and digs a warm den. Once the den is ready, it curls up and settles in for the Alaska winter. This is not only the bear's survival journey. Nutrients from the salmon follow its tracks deep into the forest, enriching the soil, nourishing plants, and indirectly sustaining a whole chain of other living creatures. It is the cycle of nutrients flowing from river to land along the most natural path. Wolves are famous for their speed, pack coordination, and very quick ability to read situations. But the moment a grizzly bear appears, the atmosphere changes at once. Like a wall of territorial power, it forces the entire pack to slow down, shifting into careful probing and step-by-step risk assessment. In Yellowstone, a grizzly bear buries part of its food under the snow as a way to secure that resource for later. The scent draws a wolf pack in. They build their numbers, tighten the circle, and search for a safe angle of approach. But the grizzly only needs to hold its ground, standing firm like an unmoving landmark. Instinct tells the wolves that today, the price of contesting this share is too high. In another encounter, the wolves try to draw the grizzly away from its meal with feints of moving forward and back, spreading out to create confusion. But the pressure created by the grizzly is enough to make every calculated attempt quickly lose momentum. After just a few tests, the whole pack withdraws, leaving the meal to the one holding the clear advantage. These encounters are not simple contests of winning or losing, but a comparison between strategy and raw physical power. Wolves win through rhythm and coordination, while the grizzly wins through presence. From rocky mountain slopes to muddy riverbeds and snow-covered valleys, the grizzly bear stands as a pillar of strength in the northern forest. What sets it apart is not only muscle, but also the way it reads the terrain, manages its energy, and knows when to stop before wearing itself down. If this journey has offered viewers a new perspective on the wild, you can press like and subscribe to return for the stories ahead.